Good morning. What? What are you guys talking about? Catch up on the latest drama updates? Yes, because that's what we're talking about here. Cover it extensively. The Eagles are not frauds. If the Eagles are frauds, then who's legit? The Eagles. Come on. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I know where that's coming from, Nito. I know where that's coming from. You're a Cowboy fan, ain't you? You're EU and you don't watch soccer, and you're missing out. I'm USA and I watch football. How you guys doing today, by the way? Shout outs to the EU crowd, because I'm sure you guys are 100% should be asleep right now, but instead you're watching this for some oddball reason. There's a VOD. Like, you can watch this later. You don't have to watch it live. I appreciate you guys being here, but you don't have to be here live. Sleep quiet. No, not in unison. Sleep is for the week. No, I don't think the Lions are frauds. No, I don't. I think they're legit. I think for the first time since I've been on planet Earth, the Lions are legit. I know they lost to the Packers. That was mainly due to... I mean, not mainly due to, but I mean, one of those just... Oops! The ball slipped out of the quarterback's hands. That's a fumble. I'm going to pick it up and take 7 points onto the board. All right, 6. I think they missed the field goal or the extra point there. But no, the Lions are not frauds. I think they're legit, and I think that's a fantastic thing. I like the Dan Campbell. He seems like a really likable guy. My wife and I watched the Hard Knocks last year, and he seemed like a real genuine dude. The Popcast to get over your post-land depression. Fair enough. We've been there. We've all been there. Howdy, Pop Gunners. Dare I ask, what is the... Falco, would you even know what hooch is? I know it's a type of, I don't think I've ever heard of this before. Is it sort of like a fruity kind of alcoholic drink? That's kind of what I'm seeing. Because I know you have consumed alcohol at a land before, Falco. That's why I'm asking. Hard lemonade. Okay, so basically like a Mike's, kind of like a British UK version of Mike's. It's not because you're an alcoholic. I would assume you're cultured in the... Okay, so basically, look, I'm not one to judge what people drink. But I'm assuming hooch is just your guys' version of I'm just starting off drinking. So this is the this is what I'm gonna do until I develop a taste for real alcohol. And I'm just gonna get myself in trouble the more I talk about this. I can already tell. That's Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube or Spotify, while you are pondering why Ludi teams are disbanding, like this is your first time paying attention to Ludi, giving knee-jerk reactions to the new weapons kits, tweeting at me at what I assume are drunk land videos, asking for someone to be banned from Low Ink. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. If you were to pay attention to the talking points on Twitter last night and this morning, you would think that I would have time in my show to talk about stuff like that. Basically, I've talked about this before. There's not just in Splatoon, but in any kind of sport community, there are written rules and there are unwritten rules. And it seems like with this epidemic of people using off-meta comps, that there's this set standard for, I don't know. I feel like there's like unwritten rules within the community that are being violated in the lower divs of this Ludi season. I don't really care enough to talk about it. And if something's an unwritten rule, it's not like anybody's doing anything heinous. And I know like people have taken things from yesterday and stretched the hell out of it to fit these weird, really weird narratives that have nothing to do with the original talking point. I'll say this though, the actual rule of Ludi has not been violated by any stretch of the imagination. And as far as like players transferring to different teams, everything's been legal as far as I can tell. And obviously there's some weird stuff with transferring between teams from players from team to team that Ludi staff has already kind of soft announced that they're going to be looking into and fixing next year. My biggest gripe being a part of the seeding council when it comes to players transferring is when they give us a roster for the team, we seed that team based off the roster that they give us. Then once divs come out, then you can add like multiple players to your team. And at that point, you're just a completely different team. And that team roster that you get might not match the div that we gave you based off the roster you had before. So that's where, I don't know, things get a little bit lost for me as far as like transfers are concerned. But my point being, everything that went on last night and this morning, I really don't care. And I'm not going to be this kind of person that comes on and says, like, you guys shouldn't be talking about this stuff. You should be talking about something else. Like, people who try to squash conversations on Twitter are just continuing the conversation. I don't think they realize that. So instead of just being old man, you shouldn't be talking about this. What I hope to accomplish with this episode of the Popcast today is put attention on things that need to have attention put on it, i.e. Breeze in the Splat World Championships. Two huge, major events that we should be talking about extensively and not Div 4 crap in Ludi playoffs. I'm sorry, not sorry. So instead of telling you guys what to talk about, let's try to push the narrative of cool stuff that you should be paying attention to, which is exactly what we're going to do on the Popcast today. News of tournaments may be of interest to the casual listener of the Popcast. SAC qualifier number 4 is back this upcoming Saturday. Yes, we are still in the middle of an SAC season. They've been on hiatus to allow for Breeze to happen, of Low Ink, and all this other stuff. The Saturdays are pretty busy in the competitive Splatoon community. So this is upcoming Saturday. There's an open window for an SAC tournament to take place. Make sure you sign up for it and play in it if you want to qualify for the finals. Also on Saturday is a Little Squid League. I have no idea if they're under any kind of restrictions or if they've gotten something approved or if they're just saying to hell with it, we're just going to do what we normally do. I haven't paid that much attention to Little Squid League. Obviously, we'll recap it next week as we typically do with that tournament. I believe the 35th edition of Little Squid League. Finally, the Sindal Finals for this past season are going to take place on Sunday. That is going to be hosted on IPL. I believe 12 teams are going to be participating in it. I don't know what the 12 teams are, if they're going to be announced later. But if you liked seeing some high-level competitive Splatoon action, well, you got got another opportunity to see it on the IPL channel this upcoming Sunday. I believe starting at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So that's cool to see. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Splat World Championships that took place on Saturday and the historic major events that took place within that tournament that should be the driving conversation over the course of the entire weekend. And we'll get to that. I promise. But first, as I said, I was going to talk about Breeze on this episode of the Popcast. As most of you probably know, I wasn't at Breeze. In fact, I was stuffing my face silly with all kinds of turkey and mashed potatoes and whatnot. And did watching some college football over the weekend, even though I said I probably wasn't. However, just like with the Rising Squid Land, we are now going to turn to somebody else who can give us the answers that we are so desperately looking for. So, making sure that I got everything set up correctly. And of course, as I say that, I have to hit a few more buttons in the right order here. So, bear with us here. Usual nonsense.
Everything's smooth.
Oh, nope, that didn't work out at all. Why does this never work out? Do I have to go to this one? We'll do it with this. This works out better. So there we go.
Hey, I'm huge.
You are. Well, we wanted to make sure we saw your I'm sure sleep deprived face in all its details. With
Sleep deprived with a cold. Yeah, pretty much everything.
So, welcome into the Popcast for a second time. Commentator, backline / support free agent, and the official Popcast EU correspondent, Pat J. How's morale today?
Post-land depression is hitting, kinda. Like, I just spent 2 hours with the rest of PSP in VC just talking about the LAN, especially with our American friends that couldn't come. But like it was like we watched all the tweets, everything that happened, so much happened, and like we are so tired and so happy that we got to meet, and that was sad. And we want to do it again, but not as Boston Squid Party.
not as Boston Squid Party. How did you guys do, like, playing in the event?
We were in a group of 5 and we went 2-2. So in our group was Zenith and I don't want to say their exact level because they're gonna hate me, but they were better than us. So like the top 2 teams of that group were pretty much decided. And then we managed to snatch the victory out of the other 2 teams in the group, and like we got to the middle of the group, which was like super cool. We prepared for this even though we disbanded.
Yes, you guys have played. That's like what, your 4th event since disbanding or something like that?
I think it's the 3rd. Honestly, this time it's probably the last because most of us are starting to have FA posts and to join other teams. So it's getting like tougher and tougher to organize some things between us.
Well, I don't know if you've been paying attention to Twitter this past week, but there's plenty of other teams for you to, and free agents.
As sad I missed the World Championship, I'm not that sad I missed the rest of Twitter. I'm pretty happy I was at Breeze without a smartphone to my name and just like enjoying the moment. It was really fun.
You know, that's the thing. When you just look at the community online, you get this completely different sense of what the community is. But when you go to LANs and you see everybody else, it just gives you this whole more wholesome perspective of what everybody is. So let's just get right into it. How did this weekend go?
Loud, very, very, very loud. You know, like that LAN where Zero and Kyo were just yelling at each other and then
Yes.
bugging it out. Every player was like that. The whole crowd was like that, constantly. Like for 2 days, people just yelled for the teams. Like most of the teams were UK teams because this is a UK LAN, and like it was just people cheering constantly and constant BM whenever a team was on stage, like especially UK teams on stage would just not stop taunting both the crowd and their enemies and then hug it out at the end. It was really awesome.
So when we look back at Riptide, one of the
Mhm.
major talking points from that event was when Kyo is standing up and shouting at his opponent on the other side of the stage, and everyone's got
Mhm.
an opinion on that. Just because it's like, oh, somebody's standing up and trash talking their opponent.
Mhm.
That's I don't know how I feel about that. But what you're saying is that was pretty much the norm across the
Like
entire event, or
it was the not like a few teams were not UK. Like the winning team was only half UK Ireland, and Zenith, the second team, was Spanish, and Zenith didn't know what they signed up for. Really, they like all of day one. They were like, "Why are these guys constantly screaming?" But they got it because like it was so infectious. It was just like so fun. It's like when you watch WWE fighters just yell at each other, insult each other. You know it's not serious. You know they trust each other, they're colleagues, and like everybody in the UK scene is super tight knit. Everybody loves each other, and like it was just constant like just taunts and insults and but like nothing sad, nothing mean. It just was so fun and loud, so loud.
do you think are you talking about just like individual sets that were going well here let's back up a little bit.
Mhm.
Let's could you describe the venue for
Okay.
just for the people that weren't there that couldn't see it?
Okay, so we were in a big hotel in Manchester, in the middle of Manchester, very like very accessible. And we basically had like the main room where there was the stream setup and the only working LAN setup. And then there was the other room called the artist room, where there were all the artists and four other setups where we were using hotel Wi-Fi. And also the Beyblade tournament, the Salmon Run tournament happened there. And there was also, yeah, lots of things happened. And there was also like in the artist room a screen to show like what was happening on the main stage, of course. We also had a room we called the quiet room, which was, to be honest, a bit more quiet, but not that much quiet. Uh, and we also had in the middle of all of these rooms the bar, which was very important to the LAN, obviously.
So what was the point of the quiet room? Was it just like no gaming, just like a chill space, or like I've
You,
never heard of a quiet room at a LAN before.
it was basically you could sit on the ground, hang out with people. We used it with my team to get a warm-up scrim before sets on day one. So it was kind of a spot where it was a bit more quiet, where people could talk, could hang out, and like lots of people used it, and it was like a good relief, a good way to get some rest in the middle of all the nonsense.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool actually, because
Mm.
I mean, we talk about how loud it is. I guess it's nice to have like a designated space,
Yeah,
and especially like you said, if you're just looking, okay, let me just gather my team before our set, and let's just take use of this area to kind of like game plan or do a warm up scrim or something. So that's a cool little feature.
yeah.
Um, so when how many stations were there set up?
Okay, so the main stage had one station where the LAN setup was working, and the other room, the big, like the room where most of the action, all the off-stream stuff happened, had four setups. with like everything full setup except LAN mode was not working, and of course VC was not working either. Like the TOs told us that we could use the Splatnet app, and they had the connectors for it to their credit, but like we did not use it. We just yelled at each other. Like the backline and me, we were like standing in the middle of the team and yelling at our frontliners to just go forward, go backwards, take the shot or not.
Yeah, I've been in situations where the VC doesn't always work. And yes, you take your
Yeah,
anchor player, who I guess for most teams might be your shot caller, maybe not, and you
hmm
put that player in the middle and you surround them with your slayers on the side so that you can
yeah,
bark orders at them pretty easily. What's this about hotel Wi-Fi? You weren't playing games on hotel Wi-Fi, were you?
yeah. Like
What?
the lands. Okay, so basically, in the second room, we had four LAN setup, and the wired connections, the LAN mode, did not work. I don't know why. Like you'd have to
Oh
ask the
no.
TOs for what happened. But basically, we had four LAN setups in that room, and everybody was going on all hotel Wi-Fi because so many people were on hotel Wi-Fi. A few people used the regular shoal mode with just the switches Wi-Fi because they were disconnecting too much. Like we disconnected on our, one of our players disconnected against Zenith, which wasn't too bad because they were I mean the Spanish champions and we were low level
Right.
scrubs. But it was still a bit sad to disconnect two games in a row and start 1-0 into the set. And like the TOs were on point though. Like they were everywhere. They were incredibly making sure that everything was running smoothly, and they were handling so many different sub events, so many different people. There were 300 people or something. I'm not sure of the exact number, but it was in that ballpark, and it was huge, and it was so well run.
It's That's good to hear. I mean, that's when you say games had to be played on hotel Wi-Fi. That's a little unnerving to hear about it. But I guess,
It.
um, I mean, you're talking about this is like at the Rising Squid Land. That was a
Mhm.
place. That was a gaming hall.
Yeah,
Like that.
yeah,
That whole building was built
mhm,
around gaming. This hotel place isn't built around
yeah.
that. Like you make it overnight, kind of thing.
Mhm. And really like congrats to the UK scene for having all the LCDs. Like they were prepared. It just didn't work because it's a Splatoon LAN, and you know how Splatoon LANs work. But
Yep.
they made the investment. They were trying their best, and thankfully the hotel Wi-Fi was just enough. It's just enough. Like we were not going to complain because it we had to.
Now you said this is not an EU LAN,
Yeah.
but a UK LAN.
Yes.
The
So
I mean that I guess that makes sense. If we have a LAN in Ohio, we're not calling it a North America LAN. It's
mhm.
just a LAN in Ohio.
It,
Um, we go on.
it was like the EU scene is very weird. I'd say the EU is a region, but there's a French scene and a German scene. And today, I mean, yesterday, the UK scene showed how big and loud and competent they were. And it was really, there were a few non-English players, myself included, but mostly it was a LAN by the UK for the UK and Ireland.
Were
And it
you
was awesome.
were you there the entire weekend, like day
Yeah.
one, day like stayed all the way through finals?
So yeah, I arrived on Friday evening, 8 with a few teammates that were already there too. And then because my casting blocks both days were the first casting block of the day, I had to be there from the morning, even though I was playing on the afternoon. So like I watched the whole LAN. That being said, right after the medal ceremony, we just ran with friends to go to a restaurant we had booked.
Did you go to the social on Saturday night?
Yes, I didn't stay that much. I was quite drunk and very tired. and I
Fair
had
enough.
not eaten. So at some point, me and my team, we just went. Chinatown was just a few blocks away, so we went and we bought rice and ate the rice in the street and got back to this party. But like we were tired and we got back to the hotel.
The time that you were at the social, how was
Mhm.
that? Was there a lot of people there from the Splatoon side of things?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. First of all, because the drunk part, but also there was like I'd say 50 people easily. It was super loud. The TOs tried to convince the venue, like the venue was next to the hotel. They tried to convince the bar to lower the volume so we could hear each other and talk a bit around the drink.
Right.
It didn't really work. The bar really wanted to put the music on high. Also, there was a karaoke, which only lasted 1 hour because apparently the TOs hired two DJs and didn't want to just like hire the DJs and then tell them not to play their music because we have to do more karaoke. So like not everything was perfect, but it was lots like there was so many stuff that was planned, that was made to make everybody have an incredible memory, something special. And like so much random stuff happened all around the weekend that like I mean you saw people yell hooch in chat earlier.
Yes.
It's just yeah, I'm not sure I can explain it. There was a hat with hooch written on it and it was put on a lot of heads, including a dinosaur. Really shouldn't explain it. It like there was so much.
You're spilling inside joke secrets to the outside of. You're leaking land secrets here on the Popcast.
Mhm.
Is that what you're doing here? Hooch hats and.
They're not secrets. I didn't know any of this before the LAN. I'm like a guest in the UK scene thanks to my teammates and the fact that I like traveled uh, all over to England. But I was instantly welcome. I instantly felt like I was part of all the private jokes. Like even the weird stuff. I didn't drink any hooch because I didn't realize what hooch was. I just thought people were yelling who, and I saw the hat. I didn't see hooch written on the hat. So, like, it was like so much different things happening, and it honestly it was the weirdest stuff. It was the personal, private, having a laugh together. We're all completely passionate about this game and about the scene and about each other, and we're just having hugs after insulting each other.
Yeah, one of the things I saw a lot of people tweeting about today was people just being excited that they got to meet their online friends for the first time
Oh, yeah.
that they've known for maybe several years, but now they
Mm.
finally just get to meet them in person. Um, as I looked over the guest list or the attendee list or something, there was a lot of big names that
Oh,
were
yeah.
there as well. I saw Dude was there. I think I saw Melania was there as well. Is
Yeah.
that true? That okay? I was not aware of that until I just saw some random pics and I was like, oh wait a minute.
Yeah, Mel and I came. Jude was TOing and
Okay.
doing like a lot of work to make the stream work. Jude was like handling the sound mixer and the observer camera, which I don't know why he did because we had Infer right next to him, and Inky was so busy with so much stuff, but
Hmm.
they just like had better things to do than observe.
If anyone listening to this has been to Riptide or Low Tide City,
Mhm.
Ink Fair is usually the one running the scene behind that as well. I think Vincent
Mm.
was there as well too. Vincent's been to a lot of lands here in the states as well. Um, so yeah, you had a lot of big name people there, and I saw a bunch of pictures. There's like this upper deck area where the main like venue is, like
Oh
this
yeah, there was this balcony for the TOs. Oh, sorry, I interrupted.
the balcony for the TO, so they're just like
Yeah,
looking down across the masses.
Yeah, for all of day one, it was only used by a bunch of little birdie plushies that were just looking down at the crowd. They were the prize for the salmon run tournament, and they used the balcony a bit more on day two, especially for the medal ceremony and the final picture, because like there was no other way to take everybody a picture than that spot.
You did two commentary blocks,
Yeah.
and it was were you on the couch for both times?
I wish, honestly, it looked so fun. I have no idea what they said. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure they didn't speak about a single game, and they were just trash talking each other, talking about whatever. But the thing is, as a caster, I was on the casting booth, I mean table,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end of each set, we would just wave at them like, "It's your turn now!" and wait for them to get on the microphone because they didn't have headphones. They had no way other than us waving at them to know that it was their turn to speak. And the thing is, like, what the crowd saw and what the stream saw were pretty much completely different things. The main screen was showing just the point of view of the observer, and I don't know, to be honest, because I didn't watch stream, but I don't think stream was capturing much all the yelling and the banter and that one guy that ate his controller on stage after losing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's. But I just saw the couch for some of the sets, I guess, in the later ones, and whenever
Mhm.
we have this saying like, "Oh, couch commentary is a much more chill or whatever," and I guess
Mhm.
maybe that bled through whenever people were sitting down on it. Um, but the tournament itself,
Yeah.
was there any like one distinct moment other than I saw the video of the crowd reacting to the spec cam operator using the charger and running in circles and missing shots with it and people booing with it.
Yeah.
Was there any like individual set where everything was just the most hype? Could it have been Spark versus Zenith? I don't know if that was
Yeah.
on stream, but I saw the score for that one. Looked like it was the set of the
It
tournament.
it was on stream. Uh, I missed it because I was out eating, and we watched. This is the only part of the stream we watched. We watched it on our phones in the stream out of a restaurant, just cheering, and like it was a very close set. I mean, it was 3-2, and it really went the distance. Both of these teams were really good. Honestly, winners finals between Spark and Gentleman's Assembly. Spark won game one, and then Gentleman's Assembly won on their counterpick, and then Spark won on their counterpick, and we're all thinking, what is happening? Is Spark beating the +1 pickup and just like creating the upset? And then, I mean, Gentleman's Assembly, they figure it out, and they just ended the set pretty much. But that start of the set, honestly, was very hype, and the crowd was chanting, especially since Chano from Spark was playing the crowd like a fiddle, honestly.
Just trying to get everybody hype and
Oh
during
yeah.
the sets and everything like that. That's
Mm,
that doesn't surprise me. I think everyone tends to gravitate towards an underdog in any
yeah.
kind of scenario, and it's different when you're at a LAN because you can physically cheer for the underdog
Mm,
right in front of their face. So I guess
yeah.
that would kind of translate to some hype moments in the
Mhm.
crowd there. Um, the salmon run event. Pay attention to that at all?
So a friend was organizing it, so but I didn't watch it. I just saw them start it, and they were very happy with it. I couldn't play because I helped find the seeds and so like prepare the seeds for the tournament. So I was disqualified because I knew what was parts of what was going to happen. And apparently, it was very much a success. People were very happy to play. The TOs were very satisfied. It just went smoothly. It was the first like the first salmon run tournament to be tried in any way, and I think lots of things were started, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more in the future because it's just a funny side event, and provided you have the setups and the hotel Wi-Fi, you can just do it.
Yeah, and it's you know I've thought the same thing. It's like it's such a no brainer side event to
Mm,
do. Why don't we see it more often? It seems like
mhm.
it's just an easy thing to do. And like you said, you don't even have to have land. You could probably just pull it
Yeah.
off Wi-Fi as long as everyone's on the same seed. Now you said you decided you made the seed for this. Is that what you said?
I helped scout the seeds. So Rashelski found the seed and she needed testers for it, so I helped test that.
So what was the weapons for the seed?
So basically every game, every round was on a different seed. And again, I helped scout.
Oh,
I saw horrible seeds. I saw awesome seeds. I didn't scout all the seeds, so I don't know what was kept in the final tournament.
okay.
Friends that played told me that one of the final game that they played was like hazard level max with all Grisco weapons, notably like Gris Platanas, and it was on a map that one of the teammates had never played because he doesn't play Stamina, but so they lost because of that pretty much.
See, I remember a Salmon Run tournament back at
Hmm.
Genesis 6 or 7
Hmm.
back in 2020. And there were people that showed up for that event just for the Salmon Run side things. And they were like super sweaty about it and were like embarrassing FT win and everybody else at that event. So it that's was there anybody that you know of that was there just for the Salmon Run?
I don't think so. I had a few Salmon Runner friends that were here to watch. They didn't play, they didn't have a team, and just wanted to be part of all of that to feel the ambience and cheer for everybody. So I don't think I've seen like just sweaty top level salmon runners at that event, and that's too bad. I wish I did.
Maybe next time there.
Yeah.
Um, I know it's getting late for you. Um,
Hmm.
is there is there one distinct memory that you're gonna take away from this Breeze event?
Oh, I mean, the picture we took with the that Boston Squid Party, like in the end, I went to that LAN not to yell, not to drink hooch, not to play games. I went there to see my friends, hug them out. It was so cool. Some of them I was meeting for the first time, some of them I had met before, and like it was very emotional. Like it was important to us because honestly, this is our last time together. I swear.
That's fair enough, but still, that's good to see. So if there's a Breeze next year, odds of returning,
Yes.
100%.
No hesitation. I mean, next year is a long time, but I don't care. I'm coming. Like it's I already missed it, Top Gun. Like it was so good. And honestly, like the UK scene is so welcoming, so fun, and like despite being extremely introvert and not enjoying screaming that much, it was like a breeze to be part of this.
Well, I'm glad you were able to come on today and share your perspective about things. Um, I liked how blunt you were about the last time that I had you on with your thoughts. So I'm glad we
Hmm.
didn't just bring you on just to be like, oh, how's everything nice and wonderful about Breeze? No, I feel like you gave your genuine thoughts and painted a good picture of what this event was for
Hmm.
those of us on the other side of the pond here. So I'll let you hop off the bed. I know you're probably exhausted from all the
Yeah.
traveling. And what's next for you in your world?
Okay, so sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
I I have a project going, but I'm not going to announce anything because my teammate is not ready to announce it. But like things are gonna come in terms of playing competitive, and of course I will keep casting every tournament that lets me.
Is the next team you're going to be a part of also going to be named after a major American historical event?
Uh no, no,
Doc?
not
One
not
and done.
again.
Fair enough.
Yeah. You've like said everything you had to say on the topic. If we did a rehash, if I like went there again, I would not hear the end of it. And we both know it's pumpkin, so I'm gonna go with something else, I think.
The moment I realized Boston Squid Party was from Europe is when I was like, hey, wait a minute. I think I haven't let that go. So maybe that's just on me. But I enjoyed it.
Honestly, hearing you say Boston Squid Party
Boston Squid
and
Patty.
and making fun of our name of not being from NA was a fun part of being in the team, for sure.
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hey, thank you again for coming on. I'm sure we'll talk
Pleasure.
to you again in the future. And go ahead and get some sleep. We appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
And
Bye.
that, goodbye. And that was Pat, the official EU correspondent here on the Popcast, gave us their thoughts about the Rising Squid Land and back at Breeze as well. I'm glad, again, I'm kind of glad Pat kind of alluded to the hotel Wi-Fi thing. I think that's and I told you guys this on the preview for this a week ago that there was going to be technical issues at this event just based on the fact of where the place was. Like I knew there were going to be issues with it, and that's just unavoidable, 100% unavoidable. But the venue does allow for that bigger space for those more crowd kind of noises, reactions that you can get out of other people that make the whole LAN experience what it is. And the purpose of these LANs, yeah, the tournament's there and the tournament's nice, but nobody's going to remember Breeze because General Assembly won. And nobody's going to remember Riptide because FT Win won. You're going to remember it for the personal experiences that you had, meeting the people that you did, and having the just the memories that you created within the Splatoon community, a community where a lot of people feel welcomed to be a part of, whereas in other things that they do in their normal life outside of the Splatoon community just don't feel welcome. And that's what makes this community so wholesome, much more so than whatever it is that you see on Twitter throughout the day. But thank you again, Patom J, for coming on and talk about that. Stick around, though. We still got another huge topic to talk about. Before we get to that, a little bit of a segue. Let's hop into the weekly recap. Short week since Breeze was going on and Thanksgiving as well, so not a whole heck of a lot to recap here. Proving Grounds number 25 took place on Friday. It was won by Essence. Choo Choo took second place, and Enraged Heroes rounds out your top three. My bad, Essence and Choo Choo. I think I seeded you guys like 9th and 12th respectively, and you finished in grand finals with this one. The unfortunate news is because this was run on Black Friday, we had no commentators that were available for it. We asked everybody that was on our list, so we just decided, you know what, let's not push ourselves. Let's just not do a stream and let the tournament play out. Limited to 32 teams, still had a ton of teams sign up for it. It was a double elimination format as well, which seemed to work out all right. So, I don't know. This might be the way Proving Grounds is going forward. My concern is time, and this tournament ended in about 4 hours, so not really that big of a deal. So it kind of works out there. Congrats again to Essence, your Proving Ground 25 champions. Ludi playoffs, Div 5 is we're looking at 5 matches here. I'll give you Div 5 as one of my matches of the week. Div 9, I should say. KO Patrol got a 5-3 win over Dark Striders. Div 11, Gloom Rose got a 5-3 win over Boo 0000. And in Div 3, Eggshells got a 5-3 win over Orca Balestra. Div 5, Squid Emoji got a 5-4 win over Retro Radio. Was it some of Retro Radio at Breeze with Retro Paradise? How did they have time to make a Ludi set happen? Maybe that's why they lost 5-4. In Div 8, Kiwi Ice Cream got a 5-4 win over Philsolia. So Kiwi Ice Cream marches on. I believe that is, there's 2 different Div 8s, I believe, going down. I don't know if that works differently for the playoffs or whatnot, but still, Kiwi Ice Cream got the win there. In the NFL, the Rams might as well have played the Louisville Cardinals. Instead, they played the Arizona variant and beat them 37-14. Chiefs beat the Raiders 31-17. Yes, they are legit. Who they think can beat them Bengals? Apparently, the Steelers can, 16-10. And that was your weekly recap. Sponsored by every team that disbanded last week because their Ludi season came to an end. A heartfelt GG's from me to you for all the teams that have disbanded over the course of this Ludi season. And for everyone who's only paid attention to the competitive scene starting this season and is surprised by this, this happens every single year. I have been paying attention to the scene for the past 8 Ludi seasons now, and this is what happens literally every single Ludi season. Those players aren't going anywhere. What they're going to do is just make a new team and come back a week later. It's all going to be fine. We're all going to be fine. Trust me. You just got to... And it's a good time if you're somebody who makes team logos, commissions to make team logos. This is a good time. This is where you make your Christmas money here. Teams that disband during Ludi season. The official sponsor of today's segment of the weekly recap. Jason played it from the hotel's lobby. Played what? Oh, the Retro Radio. Really? Really? You got to clutch out those game 9s if you're going to play at a hotel. Pinky every time a team disbands during Ludi season. The major event, probably the biggest event of the entire year as far as like a one-day tournament is concerned, took place on Saturday. The Splat World Championships, which quite honestly is the most undercovered, most least talked about event that we have in the entire competitive Splatoon community. And we need to spend a lot more time talking about it. I've tried to mention it at least here and there. I think I did a full segment on it last time there was a tournament in the spring or the summer. But I can't talk about the Splat World Championships without discussing yet again how hastily thrown together and put together this entire thing is damn near every single time they run this event. And I always see people in chat being like they didn't know it was going on. Let me tell you how I knew it was going on. I believe it was Monday of last week, about 5 or 6 days before the event took place. Somebody on behalf of the Splat World Championships reached out to the IPL and asked if we could run it, if we could stream the English broadcast of it, which IPL has done for several times in the past. The frustration comes from, why are you waiting till just the week of the event to reach out and try to get an English broadcast of it? It's so frustrating, and it feels so rushed and last minute. But if you've been paying attention to the Splat World Championships, that is the common theme of how they are always run in that same kind of fashion. To qualify for these events really just depends on how the contributors or the organizers feel that day. Sometimes they'll reach out to somebody, whether it's Mode Cup or they reached out to Proving, or like IPL, and we did a Proving Ground qualifier for it. When they reached out to the IPL, again, they were like, hey, can you run a qualifier? We need teams by Sunday. And it's like, well, today's Monday. There's already events going on Saturday. Like, then there's an Overlord tournament going on. You still make it work. And sometimes they don't have actual tournament built-in qualifiers. Sometimes they just pick teams from whatever. Here's the best teams from Ink TV. Congratulations, you're now playing in the Splat World Championships. You guys did good in an Overlord tournament a couple of months ago. Hey, congratulations, you're now going to be playing in Splat World Championships. And it doesn't, look, I've griped about this in the past. And it doesn't really matter, because however they want to decide what teams to play in their event, it doesn't matter, because you're just going to come down to some combination of Starburst, FT Win, and Jackpot, and Sayonara, and Alliance Rogue, and all the teams they have out there anyways. So the qualifiers are just like a way for everyone to pretend like they can win their way in, when we know they're not going to get past those teams anyway. So sometimes it's just, all right, whatever excuse we need to do to say these teams can play, just let them in and play. But it adds to this notion of there's no build-up for this event. There's no hype for this event. And I know they're tweeting out, they're doing their promotion on Twitter, and the English speaking audience is like replicating that and retweeting that. But it gets lost in all the other nonsense that we're doing in this community until you just wake up on Saturday and you're like, oh yeah, that's going on today. And I already slept through like all of it. But there you go. And I understand this is a global event that they're running here, and it's extremely tough to pull off. And you're negotiating, or more so having conversations with people that don't speak your native language, or and are probably awake when you're asleep and asleep when you're awake. So I get there's a lot of hurdles that go into that. I just wish this was just more of a thing that just didn't feel so rushed and last minute, because the Splat World Championships, by name alone, is a massive deal, but it just doesn't seem like it's really picked up with the audience that would be interested in watching an event like this. So if you were like me, you woke up on Saturday, and bless our hearts, the first thing we do is open up our phone and look at Twitter. The first tweet I saw on Saturday when I woke up was a tweet from IPL that says, Grand Finals of the Splat World Championship are starting. And as soon as I read that, my mind instantly went to, okay, it's going to be these two names that I've never heard of, but I'll still be interested in watching. But no, the Grand Finals of this Splat World Championship. Keep in mind, Splat World Championship has never had a team from the West win more than one singular game in the semifinals leading up to finals. But the grand finals of this event had two teams from the West in it. A team from the West guaranteed to win Splat World Championships for the first time ever. Not just win it, but first and second place. Jackpot versus FT Win. What in the hell? How did that happen? How did we go from being the little brother that's just happy to be a part of the Splat World Championships to representing 100% of the top two spots? Well, you dive in deep, a little bit deeper into it, it's not really that hard to understand. First off, let's just review the stats that take place in this event leading up to this one. The previous 5 tournaments, all of which were single elimination. The semifinal round, I alluded to the fact that there's only been one team, I believe it was Starburst, the only team ever to win a singular game in a semifinal match. Everybody else has been 3-0'd, except for that time where Starburst was 3-1. So that is a 5-0 record for teams from Japan versus team from West in a single elimination best of 5 semifinal round. and a 15-1 record per game. There's some key differences, though, between the past 5 tournaments and this one that you have to acknowledge did have a factor in thing. Now, if you're looking for like a gameplay breakdown or, wow, the teams from Japan use these kind of comps, let's figure out how they work. That's a Squid School stream, or which I believe is going on right now, or Pro Chara, I'm sure we'll do one at some point, or other content creators. That if you want a gameplay breakdown, you've come to the wrong place. I want to talk about the format and how that has changed everything for this thing. First off, instead of being a single elimination format of just 8 teams where round 1 is best of 3, which that is hilarious that you can play in a single elimination one-day tournament and round 1 be best of 3 for the Splat World Championships. That's a rough way to go about things, but it's a spicy way to start off your morning. Do or die best of 3 set with everything on the line. Instead, this tournament was a double elimination format, which is very new this time around and is a good buffer for those crazy round 1 matches that had so much at stake and were over so quickly. So now it's a double elimination format. That benefits the West and anybody else that's going to be typically lower seeded in these things, that they get a homie stock if they were to find a way to catch an L early on in the tournament, instead of being just flat out eliminated like they were in the past. So that's number 1. The format is now double elimination. Number 2, every set, aside from winners, losers, winner finals, losers finals, and grand finals, are now best of 3. So in the past, where everything beyond quarterfinals of the single elimination bracket was best of 5 onward, now literally every single set except for the final of whatever bracket is only best of 3. That heavily favors any kind of underdog in any scenario, right? We can acknowledge that. And I've always said on here, especially when it comes to Ludi sets, nobody's going to beat Jackpot in a best of 9. In a best of 5, somebody could beat Jackpot. It would have to be an FT Win and Alliance Rogue, like that kind of a caliber team. But best of 5 is usually where you see those kinds of close sets between those types of teams. I am of the mindset that although you don't usually see crazy upsets in a best of 3, anybody could truly beat anybody in a best of 3. That best of 3 is the true equalizer when it comes to skill level. Why? Because you can cheese somebody in one game, and if you can beat them in one game, all you got to do is just win one more. Just find a way to win one more individual game, and you've won the set. Actually, that is why I'm always thinking when somebody's putting a result, hey, we beat this team 2-1. Okay, if it was best of 5, though, how different would the set be? If we played in a best of 5 set and you're up 2-1, what if you just paused right there and just took that to Twitter? Hey, we're up 2-1 in this best of 5 set. That's the same thing as the best of 3, right? But that's just the same kind of mindset you got to go with there. Even Jackpot is susceptible to being cheesed in a Rainmaker game. Octopi did it to them in Super Jump. Now, Jackpot wasn't playing their main weapons in that game, but they're still, if that was a best of 3 and they lose that game, then it's like, oh crap, now we have to use our mains, because if we screw up one more time, then we just lost this set. Best of 3 will benefit the underdog more than it will benefit the favorite. And having nothing but best of 3 is going to help out the West, because they have in the past been way more competitive in best of 3 against Japan versus the best of 5, where they've just been anything but competitive. The third key change from the past tournaments to this one: only 3 teams represent Japan. In the past, it was 2 teams from North America, 2 teams from Europe, and the other 4 teams coming in from Japan. And those teams from Japan were just so tickled to death if they got to play somebody from the West, because it was almost always a free win, especially in the semifinals. This time around, there are 10 teams that are playing in it, and 3 of those 10 are from Japan. Japan's no longer 50% of the tournament. They're just 30 at this point. They are the minority in the Splat World Championships for the first time. That opens up the door for less teams that you have to worry about from a country you might of players that you might not be used to playing against, and B, the odds of you running into them are much lower because somebody might knock them out a little bit quicker. And that's exactly what happened in this tournament. You had 4 teams from North America. Keep in mind, 2 of the North American teams weren't supposed to be there. FT Win and Moonlight were brought in to replace Alliance Rogue and Kaiser, both of whom were invited but just couldn't make this specific date. Whether it's because of Breeze or something else, I don't know. But if you're looking at this bracket and being like, why are there no EU teams? They were there, and FT Win is more than happy to say thank you for not being there, because the only tournament we played in is 20XX, and apparently that was good enough for us to qualify, and rightfully so. They finished second place in this event. But Japan was 4 teams from North America, 2 from I believe 2 were from Oceania. One of them had a flag I didn't really recognize, but the first one I believe was the Australia-New Zealand flag. And you also had 1 team from South America. Enrage took place in this event. So this much more of a world championship. You got each major region kind of represented here. Now, there's still like other parts of Asia, like Russia and China, that I believe Nintendo is trying to get incorporated in their world tournament that you're not seeing play. I think like Korea as well, that aren't a part of this yet. But you can see the Splat World Championship is starting to expand outside of Japan, and that is going to make it harder for teams from Japan to win this one, as you saw in this past tournament. All of these factors favor the West versus Japan way more than what the previous formats did. So the format now is tipped into the scales of the teams from the West. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not hinting at Jackpot winning this event as being undeserved, or as there's like some sort of asterisk that you got to put next to this one, or even a footnote. I'm not hinting at that at all. I'm just pointing out the differences from this event from the past ones that you cannot deny. They're undeniable as far as their impact that they had on this event. I'm sorry, a single elimination tournament with best of 5 and semifinals of only 8 teams is nowhere near the equivalent of this 10-team double elimination best of 3 throughout the vast majority of it. It's not the same. But it's not to say that the West had it easy, or that this was just a cakewalk for Jackpot and FT Win to get to grand finals. It was anything but that. Now, I can't see what the rosters are from the teams from Japan are on Challenge. I know if I looked on Twitter, I could have found this information, but even if I found it, I wouldn't have like a frame of reference to understand how strong these teams are. I know the team that won the last Splat World Championship, at least their name wasn't there. The only name that I recognized was what was it, God's Hell or something like that, because they played in some of these other events. But even then, they got eliminated earlier in another event, and I believe they finished top 4 in this one. So in Magic and Nine, we're alluding to the fact that some of the stronger players from Japan were not playing in this event. I don't know who or what specifically, but as far as who these teams had to go up against, it's still impressive how good Jackpot and FT Win did. Combined, FT Win and Jackpot played 4 matches against teams from Japan, and they beat all of them. A combined record per game, 9 wins to only 2 losses. In fact, FT Win becomes the first team from the West in the Splat World Championships ever to win a match against a team from Japan in a best-of-5 set. Like I said before, the best anyone's ever done was Starburst winning 1 game in a best-of-5. FT Win swept their opponent in losers finals 3-0. Dismiss them. Get out of the way. We're going to be going on to grand finals of this event. That is a statement. So that is very impressive. Jackpot, who won this whole event, again, they played only the teams that finished in the top 4. Only the teams that finished in the top 4 they played, including FT Win, who they beat twice, avenging a loss to them in 20XX. And now Jackpot can officially say that they are world champions. Think about that. What does this do for Jackpot's legacy? You know they're concerned about their legacy. When the community rules came out, they tweeted out, "Oh, the community's going to die, but just know we were better than everybody else. We were the best." Well, now they kind of got a little extra something here to kind of say, yeah, Starburst never won a Splat World Championship. FT Win never won a Splat World Championship. We did. Jackpot is the only team from the West, unless you want to include like some obscure tournaments in the past, modern day competitive Splatoon. Only Western teams that can claim they are the champions of the whole doggone planet Earth is Jackpot. And that's awesome. That is a big deal. And it's something nobody else can claim. That is the highest peak you can achieve, right? To say that you are the undisputed champion of the online world. Now, this begs the question, does this mean we're closing the gap with Japan? First off, it's a royal we, it's not me, it's not you idiots in chat either, is teams from the West, the top teams from the West closing the gap with Japan. And I've always said that is a really dumb take because the Splat World Championships have proven they're not even close. But is it fair to say the gap is closing? Yes. I think you can't look at how Saturday went and not come away with that and say the gap is closing. Is the gap closed? Hell no. One tournament doesn't erase half a decade of big brother, little brother kind of beat down here. Like, one tournament doesn't change anything. It does indicate that the gap is closing. It's just like when teams started to realize, oh, we can beat FT Win. We can beat Starburst. Their stranglehold on the West is weakening. That gives everyone else confidence that they can start taking shots against them as well. And eventually you see that top dog start to crumble, and then the throne becomes wide open and you see somebody else take it. Jackpot is making a statement here by winning this tournament, and FT Win as well, beating every team from Japan, where the next time there is a Splat World Championship, it's not going to be going in there like, oh, I hope we can do something. They now know they can because they've done it before. So this is going to lead to more competitive sets down the road, combined with the new format that they got going on here. But man, I wish this was the conversation. This should be the driving force a week leading up to it and the week afterwards whenever there's a Splat World Championships. But it's not. We're talking about stupid, looty crap that means nothing to anybody. This means something to everyone. This is the goal everyone should be striving for. Well, somebody achieved it. So that's why I wanted to talk about this today. And I hope that this is an event that is better promoted and there's more build up for it. And there are qualifiers that you can at least watch beforehand and you can have rooting interest and know what's at stake here, other than you just wake up one day and you see a tweet and be like, oh, FT Win is getting invited to this event and it's going to take place at this time. Okay, well, I'll be sure to mark my calendar. I hope we can get to that point to where the Splat World Championships is a huge freaking deal to watch because the product is fantastic. We're not quite there yet, but that is my hope for the Splat World Championships. And once again, congratulations to Jackpot for what they accomplished there. What a great year for top level. Ink TV, the lands that we've had going on, the Overlord tournaments that we've had, the major that's going to be that's been taking place, the Sindal tournament that's going to be taking place this upcoming weekend. Like, if you've been a fan of competitive Splatoon at a high level, you've been spoiled this year by all the incredible storylines that's been going on start to finish. And it's not over yet. Highlighted messages, and then we're getting out of here. I accidentally fell asleep before Grands, mainly because I didn't want to see a 3-0 bracket reset. Oh, best of 3 bracket reset. Unfortunate. Nobody beats Jackpot in a best of 9. Boy, I got the perfect production to see this. Jackpot and FT win, honestly, would draw my attention. And Starburst played in this tournament as well. New look Starburst team, which is actually closer to the old Starburst team from a couple of years ago. I wonder what they're up to. The other flag was South Korean. Okay, thank you. I probably should have known that, to be honest with you. But those flags are so tiny, and they only show up on mobile. I didn't realize how big the Splatoon audience in China is. There was a stream that was way more viewed than any other stream that day. You know, we only hear about Japan. I feel like Russia has stuff going on as well. And I mean, it's also kind of frustrating because when you start talking about other countries, you start talking about, the wars and the political stuff that's going on. How is that affecting the people that are like living in those regions? And it's like, that's world sucks. But there are esports around the world. There is a coaching finals the next day that some of the teams might not have wanted scheduling something that close. Okay, yeah. I'm assuming you're talking about the teams that couldn't make it or something. I yelled at my team to watch the SWV. Well, so be it. Nicely done. All right. We're out of here. We're done. Europe, go to bed. Everybody else, if you'd like to be a part of the Popcast anyway, feel free to reach out. My socials below. Twitter, Mr._Popgun, Discord, blah, blah, blah. You guys know how to find me at this point. Who can I raid here? Let's just go to Brand. I talked about Starburst. Let's go to Starburst. Make sure you get vaccinated if you haven't already. Flu and COVID. Wear a mask when applicable. If you went to the breeze, I promise you somebody you know got COVID. I'm not trying to scare you. That's just a thing. Make sure you guys get tested and stay safe. That happens at every land. Don't freak out.